Are you able to hear me in the room there, Luke? Yep. Did I hear that there was a typo? Did you need me to make an adjustment on this at all? Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Blake, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's
I
roll.
think we're ready.
Alrighty. Good afternoon and welcome everybody. We'll be starting the meeting here in just a moment. The City of Watertown Planning Commission is meeting jointly tonight with the Cottington County Planning Commission. This is a little bit different than our normal slate of events. So each of us will open our call for our own meetings as is customary, and then we'll take up today's meeting for the joint session. After the joint session, we will then have the city's regular scheduled planning meeting followed by the Board of Adjustment meeting. Chairman Fox, would you like to first open the county meeting?
Yes, thank you. I have counted heads. I do have a quorum. So at this time, I will call the Cottington County Planning Commission meeting to order. The time for us is approximately 4:22. Are there any items to be added to the agenda by board members or staff under matters for board discussion?
I have none.
Okay, seeing none. Declaration of intent by members of the public to address this board during our open session, which would be 5 minutes at the end of the meeting to bring something to our attention that is not on our agenda. Seeing none. Disclosure of any potential conflicts of interest, any relations to any of the applicants or ex parte communications. Anybody ever been arrested recently with any product?
Good.
Okay, none of that. So then I would look forward to a motion to approve the agenda then as it was mailed to you. Okay, I'll take Brenda as first, I'll take Alex as a second, and I will turn it back to you, Mr. Dolly.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. I'd like to also call to order the Thursday, August 19th, Watertown City Plan Commission joint session. Can I get a roll call?
Yes. Hanson?
Here. On the way.
Spire? Thank you, Hanson.
Here.
Dargits Johnson?
Here.
Aletsky?
Present.
Kays?
Here.
Culhane?
Here.
Dolly?
Here.
Ford?
Thank you.
I think Ford is absent. And Brink? Brink is also absent. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Stacy. Item 3 on the agenda is the invitation for the public comments participant submittal. If you'd like to speak to the board on an item that's not on the agenda here for this joint session, now would be the time to sign up. Anybody in the room or online? Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. We need a motion for approval of that agenda.
Kays, so moved.
Second, Colleen.
A motion and a second. Any additional discussion before we vote on the agenda? All right, we'll take a roll call vote.
Okay. Culhane?
Yes.
Kays?
Yes.
Aletsky?
Yes.
Dargits Johnson?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Spire?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Okay, that carries. The agenda is approved.
All right, now that we've both convened, we will start this joint meeting. The first item of business is to open the joint public hearing regarding an amendment to the joint jurisdiction zoning ordinance to add definitions related to cannabis dispensaries to the ordinance. Following the hearing, each board will act individually to make its recommendations to their respective elected body. Mr. Fox, I know your board usually gets a motion on the floor before starting the hearing, but would you agree to opening the public hearing before we make motions this time?
Yes, yes, we can do that. I'm going to back up so and cross one of the T's I jumped over. We had a motion and a second, but we did not take a vote on approving our agenda. So board members, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion is approved. I plan to stick to the county's bylaws regarding these public hearings. Among other rules, we allow staff to introduce the item to us. We do not allow written testimony to be submitted at our meetings. We do allow a maximum of 3 minutes of testimony by any individual. And per chairman's, I just give everybody 30 seconds to summarize their thoughts. All questions and comments are usually directed to the board or the staff, and any questions will be addressed after the public hearing is closed. Back to you, Mr. Dolly.
That sounds good. Luke Moeller is the county zoning officer and first district staff member. He'll give a brief description of what is within the ordinance and why are we meeting jointly, and then we'll call on members of the public that wish to comment. Luke, can you start us off?
I certainly can. Thank you, Chairperson Dolly. I will go into this here. First of all, regarding how and why we're meeting here again, we discussed this. It hasn't been that long. I mean, we find ourselves back together again after just a couple of months. When we met last time jointly, I described that a little bit, how the two respective planning commissions need to meet together and hold a public hearing before they make any recommendation on the joint zoning ordinance. So I really won't get into that too much more other than just to note we have to. Our ordinance says that this is how we have to do it. Our ordinance says that because the state law says we got to do it that way. So here we go. That's why we sit together. As far as this ordinance, I am going to preface this a little bit, catch you back up to where we were. You'll recall that earlier this summer you adopted an ordinance which effectively called for the denial of a cannabis-related permits until the state created rules. Well, the state's about to adopt those rules. Thankfully, now we have an idea of what those rules are going to be. And we're able to work with the South Dakota Association of County Officials, South Dakota Municipal League, planning districts, and numerous attorneys to create a draft zoning and licensure template. for how to handle things. It's not to say that everyone's going to handle everything the same. Obviously, they're not. And this is going to be a good example of that. But what I want to do first is I just want to show a brief map because I think this will help in some ways keep things straight with, of course, now I don't have it on here anymore. I think it'll help to keep straight which ordinances for who and why we are handling things the way that they are. But basically, what we have is we've got multiple different ordinances. I see I'm spinning, so I guess I don't get to show a map. We've got 3 different jurisdictions that the entities that we're working on here work with. We've got the city of Watertown, which is the area inside of city limits. We've got Coddington County, which is the area outside of all of the municipalities. And then we've got the joint jurisdiction area, which is the area, which is essentially the planning area around the city of Watertown. And so right now, what we are working on, this group here is going to be acting on the area that's in that immediate planning area, that joint jurisdiction zoning area. I know later on this evening, the city has hearings on their own ordinance within city limits. The county will hold their public hearing on Monday regarding what's outside of the joint jurisdiction area. So the main reason I bring all that up, normally I wouldn't get into what's in this ordinance or that ordinance, but it all does tie together in this case. It's kind of a development model, more or less, that as we work through this, city staff, county staff, emergency management, as well as utilities and attorneys for each entity all kind of work together to kind of figure out, okay, well, we're really not well equipped for this use, but we could work with this. And the state law says we have to do this, but we're going to do that. So in the end, what we have is this ordinance here is drafted, and it shows that within the joint jurisdiction area, in the end, the net effect will be that within that joint jurisdiction area, there will not be dispensaries. There will not be cultivation facilities. There will not be manufacturing or testing. There are reasons for that, and I could get into them, but the bottom line is I'll get back to how that works. The ordinance that's in front of you is ordinance number 76. All that does, it's 76, and on yours, Stacy, you correct me if I'm wrong, what that number is. It's 21-36. Your resolution is your Planning Commission resolution. 2138. Thank you. So at any rate, different numbers, same text. Realistically, what happens here is what we do is we establish the definitions of these so that once we have those definitions in place, you have other section of the joint jurisdiction zoning ordinance that says if something's not listed in a given district, it's not allowed. It's prohibited. So by defining these now within the ordinance, it is omitted on purpose, is what that amounts to. So therefore, they are prohibited by not having them listed. So there's really no other areas that need to be affected, and that's what this is. I could go through and read all of these, but they've been online. They've been at each of the offices available for people to read. The only thing that I will point out is that the County Commission at the last meeting, as well as things that we've heard from other entities, did suggest to strike a small portion that was within there that referenced in the past draft. It had said, let's see if I've got it here. In the past draft, we had for cannabis cultivation facility, cannabis dispensary, cannabis product manufacturing facility, and cannabis testing facility. Before you see the word here, let's just look at cultivation. Before the word "this term" is defined, it said before, in addition to the definition in SDCL 34-20-G-1. It could stay, but in all reality, we've had a lot of conversation with folks that have said, let's just leave it the way state law has it and be done with it. So that's it. I'll stop with my comments. That is what's in the ordinance. That's how that's going to work in that area.
Alrighty, thank you, Luke. Stacy, did you or anybody from the city staff have anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do not have anything to add at this time.
All right, thank you, Stacy. I'll now open the public hearing on behalf of the boards, if that's all right with you, Mr. Fox.
Yes. I do want to reiterate one thing, though. This is the joint area, joint jurisdiction area. And the public hearing for the area outside the joint area, but in the county, will be held next Monday at 7:30 p.m. And looking at your other agendas, it looks like the public hearing for the ordinances regulating the area inside the city limits will be held later this evening. That's all I have, Mr. Dolly.
Thank you, Mr. Fox, and that is correct. So following this joint meeting, we will proceed into the city meeting and have the inside of city limits discussion at that time. So with that cleared up, I'll consider the public hearing open on County Ordinance number 76, entitled An Ordinance to Amend Article 2, Definitions Adopted by Ordinance 61, as amended, of the Joint Zoning Ordinance for Cottington County and the City of Watertown, and on Resolution 2021-38, which recommends approval of the corresponding ordinance for the City of Watertown. Before speaking, if you're going to speak in the public hearing, please state your name, and we'll start the time limit after you have done so. Anybody in the room is welcome, or anybody online in Teams as well. Is there anybody there to speak in the public? Last call. If nobody's here to speak in the public hearing, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Now that the hearing is closed, are there any city council members, any city planning commission members or county commissioners attending that had any comments or questions? Any comments, questions? Last call. If there are none, we'll close this off to Plan Commission discussion. We'll start that after we have any motions on the floor. I think we'll start first if we can get a motion from the City Planning Commission members to recommend approval of the 2021-38.
Case.
And I would ask if we could include those changes recommended by Luke and staff.
Mr. Chair, this is Case. Case makes motion per staff comments.
Second,
Motion on the
Culhane.
table. Motion on the table by Kays and a second by Culhane. I'll turn that over to you, Mr. Fox.
Okay, thank you. At this time, are there looking for a motion to approve ordinance number 76?
I'll make that motion.
By Mark, do we have a second?
Second.
I'll take a second over here. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any county commissioners who wish to speak to this ordinance? Any planning commission members have any comments or questions? Okay. If there's no further discussion, Becky, will you call the roll, please?
Bob Fox.
Aye.
Mark O'Neill.
Yes.
Brenda Hanton. Yes. Mel Reese.
Aye.
Myron Johnson.
Yes.
Rodney Klatt.
He was
Is he absent? Okay.
Yes.
Alex Conkey. Yes. 6 yes, 0 no.
Okay, with 6, that will pass this board.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. City Planning Commission, it's time to vote. Stacy, can you call the roll?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Aletsky,
Yes.
Kays,
Yes.
Culhane,
Yes.
Dargits Johnson,
Yes.
Spire,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Dolly.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, that motion passes. With that, we can adjourn each of our boards respectively for this joint session. I want a special thanks to Chairman Fox and the County Planning Commission members. I'll take a motion for adjournment first on the city side.
So moved, Culhane.
Second, Oletsky.
All in favor? Opposed? We'll adjourn the city. Mr. Fox?
Yes, and I would say thank you to the city for inviting us into your house tonight. At this time, I will take a motion to adjourn our meeting. I got lots of votes. I'll take Myron on first. I'll take Brenda on second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all.